Welcome to The Friday Habit with Mark Labriola and Benjamin Manley. The Friday Habit is for small business owners, freelancers, and creatives who are ready to take their business to the next level. Join us as we discover how to apply the strategies we learn to grow our businesses, make more money, and live every day like it's Friday. And welcome to The Friday Habit. I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you're at, because it's a beautiful day where I'm at right now. Unfortunately, we don't have Ben with us today. He's off gallivanting the world. Who knows where Ben is, right? Is he traveling somewhere? I don't know. I know his wife is in Hawaii right now, but we'll have to talk about that in another episode. But hey, I'm excited for today's episode because we have Brittany Brewer on the episode, and she's a senior account executive at FreeUp. And you're like, well, what's FreeUp? Well, it is a freelancing service that we're going to talk more about with her about. But she's been in the freelancing world for nearly 5 years now. Her work spans with freelancing, client support, and enhancing business operations. Brittany excels in building lasting relationships, ensuring client success, and maximizing the FreeUp experience. Known for quick, top-tier freelancer connections, and she and her team deliver exceptional service, making her a key player at FreeUp, where only the top 1% of freelancers are represented. So, Brittany, welcome to the Friday Habit.
Thank you so much. What an intro. I feel so welcome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're freelancers themselves. And so I thought it might be interesting for us to kind of have a conversation around freelancing and, what you kind of see in the industry, what kind of support small businesses and entrepreneurs are using within that. And then also, really how are freelancers, maybe people who need some extra work or, have a side hustle, but maybe they want to start working for, I have some friends who are like, I'm trying to get on Fiverr and Upwork and other places like that. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. But yeah, I would love to really kind of hear your story a little bit, maybe your journey on, how you got to FreeUp and maybe even hear a little bit for our audience who doesn't know about FreeUp. Kind of tell us about who they are, what they do, and kind of fill us in that realm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, professionally, I guess you could say I've been freelancing for 5 years, and that's to say like with an actual company, which is FreeUp. But I mean, since I was 7, I've been trying to find side hustles, like from the lemonade stand on.
Nice.
So, like, as an adult, especially when when COVID happened, so many people migrated from traditional 9 to 5 into like the freelance workspace, and it just so happened for me that COVID happened after I finished building out a school bus for like a digital nomad lifestyle.
What?
So
Wait, so you bought a school bus and
before COVID,
okay,
yeah.
so like the universe was telling you like, hey, it's gonna be time.
Move in this direction. So literally, it was February 2020. I had my husband and I had our bus debut. February 2020, we showed everyone, we're going to travel everywhere. It's going to be incredible. We're going to work from home via the bus. We'd been, practicing, learning like all of these new tricks of the trade that we could be doing. And then COVID happened. So it was sort of, divine intervention. We had our home ready to go to be working remotely as professional freelancers, like upgrading from the lemonade stand. And it just so happened that FreeUp was the place that I connected. FreeUp is sort of the sister company of a bigger company called the Hoth. I think a lot of people in the industry know about the Hoth, but not so many people know about FreeUp. People are more talking about like Fiverr and Upwork and what FreeUp, it's a much smaller company, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in quality. It's a little bit harder for people to get into FreeUp. There's like a vetting process versus just like, hey, you've got freelance experience, come here, you can get connected with clients. It's a little more rigorous at FreeUp, but for the most part, most people appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's go back to the bus. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. Everybody wants to know about the bus.
Yeah. So what, were you guys working like in offices or day jobs, or the jobs where you were working, were they flexible and work from home kind of jobs?
Yeah, no, they weren't at all. My husband and I both worked in the service industry. We were working like 60 hours a week and
Mm-hmm.
then part time, going to school and learning. A lot of what I learned specifically was just watching YouTube videos and learning how
Mm-hmm.
to do digital marketing, learning what SEO means, learning about e commerce, just kind of teaching myself because I knew we were going to be making that transition into the
Mm-hmm.
bus. I was like, it's time. We need to educate ourselves and figure out what are people doing who are working remotely? What are
Right.
people doing who are, trying to scale up? Like we want to get to a point where we're not working, ourselves into the grave, basically
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Or if you have ever worked in the restaurant industry, you know that it's
Yes.
more volatile than that.
Oh my gosh.
So,
My dad owns a restaurant, so
oh, no,
I mean the stories I hear and then just the constant churn, and then also it's just like it's you got to get while the getting's good,
yeah,
otherwise, it's like, and I think too based off of tips and all these other kind of things, it's like, all right, in
oh
some
yeah.
ways you want to work 60 hours because you're like, I need the money,
I need the money. Yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah, well, the thing I love too about what you're saying is like, because I had a career 15 years ago that kind of ended, and I was like, crap, what am I going to do? And back then I really didn't have YouTube. I had to go to the library and get books on video editing and production, all these other kind of things. But what I love about especially the era that we're in right now, right, is like you can educate yourself. Like you can get on
Yeah,
YouTube if you've had a day job, if you've you know been thinking about starting your own thing. It's like you can do that, and there's the
yeah,
resources out there, and there's the knowledge and everything that you need, and especially for something. And I think for marketers especially, it's like one of those things, like if you become good at your craft, it doesn't matter if you have a college degree or whatever. If you can produce results for people via
exactly.
social media management, social media marketing, digital marketing, digital advertising, all those other kind of things, it's like those are all skills that you can learn online at cheap,
Yeah,
at to no cost. And then if you're just dedicated and hardworking, you can build a skill set that pretty much anybody would be willing to hire, and take on. So I commend you for doing that, to say, hey, I'm in a situation I don't like. Let me fix it by educating myself and learning, and then going out there and making a difference.
yeah, definitely. And I learned so much too, like just from people in the freelance industry, like from other people who had hired freelancers, like people, just on forums, on Reddit, like what are people looking for? What should I be doing? What should I be learning? Because there's so many things you can hire a freelancer for. And I had to kind of apply skills that I was already good at. I wasn't going to be doing like UX UI design. Like that wasn't a route that I was going to go down. Like I wanted to apply skills that, I'd used in my real life and then kind of learn how to apply those in a digital space. So I definitely learned a lot very, very quickly because so many people flooded the marketplace right
Mm-hmm.
when COVID happened. But
Right.
it's good though. FreeUp needed somebody internally, and just shortly after freelancing with them, I ended up being able to do what I do now with FreeUp. So
Yeah.
it was a good transition.
That's cool too, because I feel like the fact that you were able to be a freelancer for a little period of time and be in the shoes of the person who you're kind of working with,
Yeah.
I think is always helpful to have the experience as well. Give us some information about the typical kind of companies that need freelancers, or like the typical kind of work that's out there, and maybe the benefit of working with a freelancer or free up opposed to maybe hiring internally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you said it already, like Upwork and Fiverr, those are other freelancer hiring platforms. And we're kind of doing the same thing. We're a freelancer hiring platform, but our primary focus is people in the e-commerce and marketing space. But we've got like 75 different skill sets that we can outsource for. Some people are coming to us and they're like, hey, I'm an electrician. I am doing great. My business is scaling, but I have no idea how to do marketing, and
Mm,
I know that my competition is doing it. I need somebody to help me. So please do that. And that's what we'll do. We'll assist them with, where their knowledge gap is or where they just don't have time to do things. And I would say like what makes it different, it's everybody's coming to these platforms looking for a freelancer to either do something they don't know how to do or they don't have time to do. But we have real people at FreeUp. So we really try to come from an empathetic space. We have
Mm,
one-on-one conversations with the clients before we just start throwing freelancers at them. We want to understand their why, their motivation for what they're doing, what their goals are before we just start, hey, here's a dozen people that you've never met and you're never going to meet in person.
right.
Figure out who you want to hire for your business. And we do some pre-vetting, like I said in the beginning. It's a little
Mhm.
bit harder for the freelancers to get onboarded into the platform, but it's just because we're doing identity checks and
It's like an
fraud.
Ivy League school. You got like, the 1%.
Top 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, though, it's not like, you have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Although a lot of our freelancers do, it's really about what you can produce and how long you've been doing it.
Mhm.
All of our freelancers have been in the game for at least 3 years. So that kind of gives a comfort level to people who are new to hiring freelancers. They're like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. This freelancer can take over the marketing for me and I don't have to worry so much.
Yeah. What do you say as far as like prioritizing? I feel like, when I started Brand Viva 8 years ago now,
Yeah.
um, it was like trying to figure out like, how do I prioritize what to offload? Because my journey was really like, I was the guy doing all the things. And then I started hiring freelancers, to kind of subcontract or do things. And then I started hiring employees internally. What do you see as far as like that journey of typical entrepreneurs? What are some of the things that someone maybe should look at or focus on as they're thinking of scaling or growing? And what are some things they should, we're all so busy. We all have so much stuff going on, and we're just constantly just trying to put out fires and solve problems. So what kind of
Yeah.
things are you talking about?
I'm a huge Office fan, the show The Office. So I like to quote Kiss, keep it simple, stupid,
Hmm.
which is what Michael Scott says to Dwight. And it is so true because if you keep it simple in the beginning, it's the easiest thing to outsource for. Like, what's the one thing
Mm.
that's overwhelming you? What's the simplest thing that's on your day to day? But the most annoying thing that you wish that you could offload. And that menial task is usually the first place to start. Whether it's, if you're an e-com person and it's like product listing and you're like, it doesn't take a lot to really do this. I just don't have the time for it. And I can't focus on big picture stuff if I have to do this silly little task. Those are the things that are the simplest thing to outsource for in the beginning. And just identifying those sort of pull my hair out tasks in the beginning is where most people end up succeeding. Just kind of offloading the menial tasks up
Yeah.
front.
It's knowing your strengths, right, and your weaknesses. And I think that was for me. It was like, all right, I need to like hire for my weaknesses or offload. Like, I'm not good at project management. I am
Yeah,
not good at client communication. It's like
yeah,
those are all the things that I had to do in order to grow a successful business. But those are things that weren't my strong suit. And so it was really thinking of like, all right, I need to start bringing in people to help me in those areas because two, I think the thing that we find as we grow as small businesses and it's like we're doing all the things and then some of the product or some of the quality of our service starts to suffer because we're trying to do too many things. And I know for me it was like I had the moment where we had this really big client and I'm spinning all these plates trying to do all these things, and I was just dropping the ball with communication and
yeah,
waiting too long to respond to emails, and I got sat down, and the client was like, "Listen, we really like you. We love working with you, but we're having some issues with the communication piece of things."
yeah,
And that was a real wake up call for me where it was like, I better fix some stuff. I better figure out because I'm going to start losing these really big, good clients if I keep dropping the ball in these other areas. And so that was for me, it was like the first freelancer I really brought in was a project manager to kind of manage all the project, make sure everything's, happening and communicating with clients, things like that. And that really helped a lot.
yeah.
What would you say to somebody as far as like the difference between a freelancer or a W-2 employee? I mean, do you feel like there's a place or a time for a W-2 employee, or do you feel like right now, you could probably run your whole business on, working with freelancers?
Um, well, first of all, just to like say one thing about your project management issue, that isn't a unique one. So many people, they they know they know they need to scale, they know they need help, but they don't know how. So getting a project manager is huge, especially in the beginning and especially if you're new. And that kind of leads into like the difference between hiring a freelancer versus a W-2 employee. Like a lot of people I think have this idea in their mind about hiring someone that they're never going to meet in person. It freaks them out. They want to walk out and be able to know, oh, Debbie down the road is working for me, she's going to do uh, some graphic design. She did graphic design in college. She's going to make my logos for me. And that gives them a sense of comfort. But what I think helps people is when they realize that, that's great. Debbie might be awesome. But when you hire a freelancer, you have access to global talent. You can find the best of the best. It's not just someone that's localized to your area. And then again, with a W-2 employee, you're paying for somebody in most cases to work either, 20 hours or 40 hours a week. You have to think about time off, insurance, all of those like headaches that when you're trying to scale, you can't even wrap your mind around. And you're like, how am I going to hire somebody? How W-2s, I have to do all this tax stuff. Like no one wants to deal with that.
Onboarding, it's like nonstop. It's like, I got to have
Yeah.
employee handbooks, and there's got to be
Yeah.
contracts that get signed. And yeah, I
So
know. I've been through
yeah,
it.
so that's what's kind of cool about FreeUp is that FreeUp has a product. It's the managed services product that basically helps somebody who's coming to us, and it's really more for people who are like, I either need a ton of hand holding or I need to be 100% hands off. And for the hand holding person, it's like, hey, I have this business. I need X, Y, and Z done. I don't know how to articulate it. I don't know how to hire for it. I don't know what to do. Can you please help me? So the managed services like provides the client with a project manager for free who puts the job request in, who filters the freelancers, hires the freelancers, and basically sets up production for the client. And that's
Mm.
like the biggest thing is, in the beginning, you're like, your mind is swirling, you want to scale, but even like dictating the tasks to a freelancer can make people, they're like, nope, I can't do that. Just forget it. I'll just keep
Right.
doing it myself, working
Yeah.
70 hours
He,
a week and being miserable.
yeah, totally. So yeah, so how do you guys like work with a client in order to figure out their systems or processes or whatever to then
Yeah.
train or teach a freelancer how to do that?
So basically, the way that it starts, we have two different things. We've got FreeUp Classic, which is like a la carte hiring, where you can get a freelancer starting at $5 an hour. And in that situation, we would tell the client, start with a scope of work. We have a template that we give the client, and basically, it's like fill in the blanks. What do you need the freelancer to do? How many hours a week? What region are you looking to hire from? And then we would tell the client, some parameters we offer guidance for is like do weekly check-ins. Make sure that your communication channel is established up front. If you like using Slack, onboard your freelancer to Slack. If you're classic and you just want to use email, get the freelancer into the email and make sure they're connected with everybody on your team. They know who to CC, when and where. So those are the things we tell people to establish up front. But with the managed services, if the client decides, hey, I want to bring on a project manager and have them take this over, the project manager basically has a call and says to the client, knowledge dump. Give me everything that you have. Tell me everything, and I'm going to organize it for you. I'm going to set you up with freelancers who have the capacity to do what you want to do. I'm going to check in and say, hey, Mark, this is done. Hey, this is 75% done. Hey, this needs your approval, and just give you pings real quick
Mm-hmm.
versus you having to go in and dig and look around for stuff. So there's a couple different options depending on the personality type, I would say, of the client or
Yeah.
the needs. Mhm.
Yeah. So it seems too like, um, I mean, I really love this idea of, hiring freelancers to kind of help, because I feel too, there's elements of growth doesn't take place unless you're able to do more than you're currently able to do. And a lot of
Yeah.
times we're unable to do more because we're just doing too much. And so it's like learning how to start to offload stuff, learning how to start to trust other people with some of the things
Yeah.
that you're doing to help you so that you can grow is just, paramount. So tell us a little bit about, like, I would say you said global workforce, and that's kind of sometimes a red flag for me. I'm like, uh-oh, like, am I going to be able to work with somebody who doesn't speak English that well, or, the
Yeah.
understanding or the language barrier? Sometimes it's like, okay, I hear the nightmares of like, oh yeah, they're posting to my social and it's like just broken English and like bad spelling and all these other kind of things. So it's like, how do you guys, just vet, or like what makes a good freelancer
Yeah.
when it comes to that?
So I think that like the idea of hiring someone internationally for a lot of people based in the US and Canada, it like conjures up images of the 90s and being like, press 5 for a representative, and then getting someone that you couldn't really understand or who didn't understand like your needs. And it just like, it evokes fear in a lot of people who haven't really worked with today's global workforce.
Yeah.
And what FreeUp specifically does is majority of our international candidates are from the Philippines, and we have such an amazing team over there. Number one, English is the second most widely spoken language in the Philippines. So,
Mm-hmm.
especially for people looking for like good communication or even phone team support or somebody to like write copy for them, they like working with people from the Philippines because English is their second most widely spoken language. And we vet for that in the beginning. We'll vet for written and spoken English. Everybody on the FreeUp platform can speak English and can write in English. And then as far as things like posting on your socials, like I've heard those stories too, where someone hires someone to manage, I want you to post on my Facebook, every day. And what will happen is the freelancer will set up basically an entire week's worth of posts, and the client will say, okay, sounds good, awesome, looks great. And then basically the freelancers got approval, but it was never reviewed. And maybe it wasn't exactly the style they were liking,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it is that there's a typo or something. But that might be hiring at a basic level versus hiring at an intermediate level. There are people who are at every stage of the game, as far as the freelancing world goes, and it does take a little oversight on the client's part. But it's definitely something that isn't as big of a problem when you pre-vet the freelancers,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we take so much pride in doing that in the beginning.
Yeah. So do you guys also use like local freelancers as well? Like, say some of our listeners are freelancers and they're like, man, I'd like to work for a company
Oh,
that
yeah.
would just bring me leads or work or whatever. And so, I mean, what makes a good freelancer in your mind?
100%. So I like, our company is based in St. Petersburg, Florida. When I started working for the company, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and then traveled, in my bus for the first year as a freelancer across the United States. And we have freelancers based in the United States and Canada as well. It's not just international. And what we're really looking for as far as freelancers go, we've got a great talent pool in the US and Canada. A lot of them have ample copywriting experience. They have experience with website design. That's huge. A lot of people in the US and Canada who want a website built, especially something heavy duty. Oftentimes you'll find that they do want to get somebody in the US. They want to get someone
Mm-hmm.
that's in the United States, at least roughly in their time zone, that they can communicate with, understand clearly, and have fast results. So web design, copywriting, anything to do with e-commerce and digital marketing. If a freelancer in the US has those skills, they should 100% apply to be a freelancer at FreeUp.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you're like, "Hey, I'm awesome and
Yeah.
I think that I'd be a good fit," hit up free up.
podcasting podcasting too, though. I mean, it's Neil Patel just said something in one of his webinars a couple months ago, like there's one podcast for every 1,000, 1,200 some people, but there's a million blogs out for one
Hmm.
person. So podcasting is growing so much. So, we've got people who can do video editing, just podcast editing and
Yeah.
producing and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's varied. We've got a list of all the skills we hire for on the
Hmm.
website, but
Okay.
we encourage everybody to at least apply. What's the
Right.
worst that can happen? You don't make
Yeah.
it through, then you try again.
Nice. So do you live in St. Petersburg now then?
Yeah. So
Okay.
actually it's a town called Dunedin. It's just a little bit outside of St. Petersburg.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that restaurant my dad owns actually is Anna Maria Island. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yes,
Uh,
I love the area.
yeah, I know. I do too. We go like every year. So,
Yeah, cool. What's
but
the restaurant?
it's called Harry's.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah,
live
everybody.
music. Yeah, exactly. Everybody knows Harry's. Yeah, but
Very cool.
anyways, so yeah, it's a great spot, and I love that. But St. Petersburg, isn't it like the elderly capital of the world or something like that?
There's some interesting tags for the city of St. Petersburg, but we've got a really cool office building down there that hosts it houses all of our brands. So we've got the
Okay.
Hoth, iWriter, Copymatic, FreeUp. All of us are like one big happy
Oh, that's
family,
cool.
and we're down there in that downtown St. Pete area. So a
Okay.
lot of our clients are local, which is really
Yeah.
cool. And then we also have clients that are in Australia. And when they happen to come over to Florida, it's just like one of those really interesting and neat things. Like
Yeah.
that's what's cool about being a global business like that. You get connected with people everywhere.
Yeah.
And having our home base in Florida versus, no offense to people in Nebraska, but places like that, it
Yeah,
doesn't hurt to have
Florida's
a good home base.
yeah, totally. You got Tampa International Airport, then you got Clearwater, St. Pete, like all that's
Yeah.
just right there. So it's a good place. So what do you think makes FreeUp different than Fiverr or some of those other like what sets you guys apart, you think?
Yeah. I'm not going to harp on our pre-vetting anymore because I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that is so
That's the
big.
biggest thing. Yeah. I mean, I've used Fiverr before and I've had like wild results, like really great
Yeah.
and really terrible and like trying to communicate, no, it should look like this. And then it's like, no, it should look like this. And like a constant, thing. So it maybe is a
That's
crapshoot in some ways on those
yeah.
platforms.
That's just one factor though. Like we have I can't rave enough about our support team, and a lot of our support team, we've got people based here in the US, but a lot of them are based in the Philippines who help us on our very own support team, and they're incredible. We have 24/7 support. We have people that are available literally round the clock for our clients. It's pretty bougie. It's like concierge level support. If
I like bougie.
we've got clients even in the US who are located in California, and our phone team support, which you can actually call and talk to someone in the US on the phone Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but that's EST. So for our other
Mm,
clients who are outside of that, we've got real people who can be on the live chat with them. We can hop on calls, Zoom calls, Google Meet, whatever our clients need, we can offer that to them. And then just the fact that we have a managed service is so huge in the freelancer community. Like so many clients will come and they'll be like, yeah, I can pay a freelancer $5 an hour, but I don't have time to manage them. Like I need this to be fully taken care of. So that package is probably even more so than our pre-vetting process at this point. That package is really what's setting us apart.
nice. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it again, I feel like there's a lot of people coming into this space. And so if you can find, a company that's working with, they're providing great service and then also working with really good freelancers and the vetting process, all that. So it sounds like you guys are awesome and legit. So
Yeah.
totally
Appreciate
awesome and
it.
legit. Yeah.
Being legit is basically that's what all the cool kids are saying now. So as long as we're legit, then we're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. So did you say Ohio?
Yeah. So my dad is from Ohio. My mom is from Florida. So I've always
Oh,
been kind
okay.
of a half and half kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I support my Buckeyes in Ohio, but I
Yeah.
love my Buccaneers when I'm in Florida. So
Oh yeah. And I mean, you lost Brady, so you didn't have a good season, you know. But you did win a Super Bowl, so that's good.
win
Yeah.
Super Bowl, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then what are we going like Florida State or
Uh,
Gators or
if I were to say any other team besides the Ohio State Buckeyes, my
Oh,
father would
okay.
probably
Okay.
he
It's
would have
like
a heart attack. So
yeah,
I
it's
have to go with the Buckeyes always.
nice. That's awesome. And so then where can people kind of connect with you or if they want to find out more like, what's the best road to perdition?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have a team of people they can connect with, but I personally love to hop on calls with people. So, for your listeners, we've got $50 in credits for them if they
Okay.
head over. Yeah, so they can get started. Like, you got 50 credits, like, why not?
Yeah.
Um, they can head over to freeuppod.com, and that's where all of the info they need is. So, just freeuppod.com.
Awesome. Perfect. So head over to freeuppod.com and get those free for 50 credits. Well, listen, we always like to leave our listeners with a kind of like a call to action or something that they could do to make themselves better or their business better starting next week. And so if there was one thing that you would maybe tell, a small business owner, what would that be going into next week?
Stop being afraid. It's so much easier than you think. Just get connected with someone who can help you, and take that first step. Don't be scared. It's really simple once you get started.
All right. Love it. That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for listening to the Friday Habit. Brittany, thank you so much for being on the show. And if you want more information, you can go to thefridayhabit.com to find show notes for this episode. There you can also get links to our websites and ways to get in touch. And at the bottom of the page, you can find a download that will show you how to spend more time working on your business instead of in your business. And if you want to maybe leave us a voicemail memo, you can do that. You can email us at hello@thefridayhabit.com. And really, that's pretty much it. So until next time, remember, live every day like it's Friday.